Hi and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA. It's getting closer and closer to the Premier League starting again. We will have the Community Shield on the 6th and a lot to look forward to. We're touching international racing. Budge and I, we were getting ready for our last one standing. Budge, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, of course, Paul. Next week, Community Shield Sunday. The Championship starts next week, and also the PSL. So at least we'll keep the American going, but the Swedish and the rest.
Just touching on the PSL, Budge.
Yeah.
Who stayed up and who went down? Was
Paul.
Did the Natal team stay up? They were under
Marisburg went down.
Did they go down?
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
Polokwane came up. I haven't done much homework on it.
Okay.
But I will next week. But I'm sure Polokwane came up, and Cape Town Spurs came up as well. They won the playoff.
Okay, so the championship starts, and that's
next Friday.
The likes of Leicester and
I think Southampton kicked the league off. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, Southampton. I think it's the next game, first game next Friday.
Well, that's excellent. Right, Budge, we got to talk about, we won't have Stevie B here today. Let's get that out of the way. Unfortunately, Stevie B can't make it. We're doing it on a Friday today because of the build-up for the Gold Cup. The build-up for the Gold Cup. So we're in studio. Budge, tell me where we're going today.
Yeah, Paul, a lot of guys, I met guys at Pirates Life Saving Club this morning. You all take Gold Cup bets, but the talk was Harry Kane. I said, I'll speak to you. You're involved with your Spurs couple of groups. What's the latest?
The latest, he's travelled with them. Postecoglou is confident he's going to stay. They've had distractions with... No, not so much that, with the owner of the club handing himself in. And he'd been taken up for insider trading. He's gone and he was giving his pilots and his romantic interests. He's not a young man.
Yeah.
And he's handed himself in. So he owns the bulk of the club. And we've got a situation that's taken a bit of the gloss off. But they went over there. They were obviously disappointed that they couldn't play. The first game was washed out. I think it was Leicester City they were playing. And then they played another team where they played 11. They've done this now with Postecoglou 11 and then played another 11, and Harry Kane's captained them. He's come in because Lloris wasn't captain, so he's captained them. They've spoken to him about a new contract, a lot more money, but it comes to the stage where you've got to make a call whether you sell him or not, simply because your contract runs out
end of the season. Yeah.
If it even takes a 1-year extension. Takes a 1-year extension. They can give him a great salary and see if he can do anything. He's keen to work with the Aussie coach. So the players have come back, and some of them are doing really well. Lo Celso is getting rave reviews. So we'll see what happens. Richarlison struck 2 the other day in that friendly. So they're looking sharp. They're all making positive comments. A big article on Song said, I played for the last 6 months with an injury.
Yeah.
The pains just got worse and worse. I've had the operation. I'm flying. I will be ready. So
top 4 is in the plans this year.
Yeah, sure. I've been saying every year I said you're positive, but I think every club's going out there and doing it. They're buying Arsenal's, and Man City will buy. Your boys have bought. How many of you guys bought?
United need a centre forward, Paul. It's obvious. We played Real Madrid the other night, got beat 2-0, but Sancho's up front, and Rashford's not a number 9. Garnacho, we need a dinkum number 9. If you haven't got an out-and-out goal scorer,
you sold one of your forwards.
Oh, Paul, they're trying to get rid of Martial.
No, the other guy, quite a tricky player.
The winger's gone. Elanga's gone to Forest. And we've got a million wingers, Paul. Garnacho's back and so on. But
so have we. We've got a million wingers, and they're all playing well in the free season. I think we've got to come up against a good side to find out how good they are. But we're basically playing 11, off you go, 11 on.
Well, also the injuries, Paul. And one thing I have noticed about the Americans, the pitches are woeful. Lionel Messi refuses to play on artificial pitches.
Yeah.
So that's going to come to a head very quickly.
You don't want to risk an injury at his
especially
age.
The quick players, Paul. You turn your knee, stand, and away you go.
So to getting back to Harry Kane at this stage, he's staying. People, the money, they were trying to stump up 68 million plus add-ons. So we're not interested.
100-0. It's 100-0.
Yeah, 100-0. That's it. I'm hoping, but if he goes, he goes. We'll have to use Richarlison.
I don't think he's going, Paul. I wish I'd open up odds. I'd have a good bet on him.
Yeah, me too. They won't, though.
What can you do?
How's our Swedish football?
Yeah, Paul, it kicks off Saturday. We'll bring the betting up now. And 2 of the top teams playing. Häcken against Elfsborg. Now, Stevie B's value bet of the week is Elfsborg. They've only lost one game. That was the first league game.
Okay.
They're unbeaten in, I think, the last 16 games. And going well, 17 to 10 is a big price.
1 and 2 in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically BK Hacken are favourites.
Yeah, Hacken are favourites, Paul. They're the league champions. They don't get beat at home. They've won the last 6. So I think the draw 5-2 is a big player, Paul.
Big
You know,
player.
top against bottom, you don't want to get beat. So that would be my suggestion. It's a 1, 2, 3 in all exotics if you can afford it. But
Okay.
1 and 2 if you can't. Biggest club in the world, Paul. I back them every week.
I know
Last
that,
week they
yeah.
cost me. I don't see them getting beat, Paul. Degerfors aren't the best at teams.
Just
They've lost.
about joint favourites again.
Yeah, they've lost 5 out of 6, Degerfors. Poor at home. Where Brahma Pochkara away from home are far better than at home. Can't understand it, but can't be backing them, Paul. I think there'll be goals.
Okay.
But 2 and 3 in the exotics.
Halmstad versus Varberg's Bois.
Varberg's Bois, yeah. This is Stevie B's best bet of the weekend. Varberg's Bois tailed off, Paul, their bottom. Lost 5 out of 6. Struggling.
9 to 10 about Halmstad.
Yeah, 9 to 10. That's Stevie B. On all the form, Paul, it should be 9
Last
to
4
10.
home games for Halmstad.
Drawn 3 and lost 1. But they've been playing against the better teams. So
Okay,
that's why Steve's gone for them. I can't have them in any of my bets, Paul. If I was having a bet, it would be over 2.5 goals at 9 to 10. But respect to Steve, he's gone from Halmstad.
Okay.
But goals for me. Paul, my value bet is Norrköping away from home.
Gee,
Hammarby,
big price,
big
2 to
price.
1
I can't
nearly.
believe it, Paul. You know, Hammarby played in the Europa Conference League last night, got beat 1-0. They played FC20 of the Netherlands, so it's a tough game. And the money's in Europe, Paul, so I
Yeah,
think they'll mix and match the teams. It was 9 to 10, Norrköping win and draw. So that's my play in this game, Paul. But
Norrköping all the way.
Norrköping all the way, yeah. On to the second page.
Ken Mulby.
Ken Mulby, yeah, they cost me last time I went for serious. But Djurgårdens, another team that got beat in the Europa Conference League last night. Tough game, Paul. I think the draw's a player in that particular clash.
And this is played
24 to
Sunday at
10.
3 o'clock, eh?
Yeah, Sunday, 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, then-
AFK Kopping played Kalmar. Kalmar, another team that got beat. Yeah, they got beat 2-1 at home.
So the
12 to
Swedish
10,
teams,
you know, but they've got terrible form. Haven't won in 7. So maybe because of the Europa League, they've made them favourites, Paul. But I can't have them. Another game where if you have to have a bet, it should be goals. I think
Okay.
this, the next 2 games have got my money or our money. Malmo, Paul, 3 to 10.
3 to 10.
Absolute
They're third-
sitters.
third in the lot.
AFK Vanama woeful. You know, it's like, I think it was 8 to 10, Malmo to win by more than 1 goal.
That's not a bad odd.
You know, so we took, went 29 to 10, over 2.5 goals, both teams to score no. I think this is a 3-4-0 game, Paul.
Okay.
So that's the way we've sided.
And then Sirius?
ARK Stockholm, yeah. Sirius we were on last week, cost me money. ARK Stockholm, Henningberg, the ex-Man United centre-half,
Yeah.
he's gone back. You know,
He was a
they've won
good
their
player.
last 2
He
away
was a
from
good
home.
player.
They play with the Opstam. Well, they've come right, big club in
Dutchman.
Sweden, so 13 to 10 is my play in that game. I think ARK Stockholm will win easy. Yeah.
So very interesting there in the Swedish leagues this week, and especially after they all got drubbed.
They all got beaten. So it's not the strongest of leagues.
No,
But once
it's
they
not.
come up against the Dutch
Do you get
league,
any
and-
big names playing?
no, there was not many. Yeah, the big Swedes are all in Europe, Paul.
Yes,
Yeah, Eric,
yeah.
I know he's Danish, but the guy at Newcastle, the guy up front at Isak, so they're top players.
He's a good player.
Yeah, and the Man United centre half, he's there as well, but they're struggling player-wise. You know, any money they sell.
I'm doing a little comparison with you, Budge. Where does the American League fit in against a Swedish league?
Paul,
Talent-wise.
The thing is with the American League is their budgets. It's like all their sport.
Yes.
There's a limit. You can only spend X amount. Now they
So how
spend
did
that
they
on
get
their,
Messi?
Well, Messi, I was arguing in the pub the other night. Messi and Ronaldo, the usual argument. I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to
That
do for you,
argument
boys.
must be dead.
12 to 10 Miami, into Miami to win. I said, I'll back on. I said, boys, this is a gift.
Yes.
4-0. And I'm waiting to see them. So, no, Paul, I backed them. It got me money this week. Paul, he's been a great player. He's on his last legs.
He's still
But that's
great.
a mediocre league, Paul. And he's just sauntering around. Busquets has arrived. Jordi Alba, he's in the team. Jordi Alba's arriving. But the structure's in America. You've got one designated player, another designated player, and limited,
But
and the rest.
like the American football,
Yeah, there's
the
budgets.
bottom team gets first pick, and things. It's a very good system.
Excellent.
It keeps balancing it, but this is money. This
so
is real
no,
money.
Messi's making a fortune, and everyone wants to play. Full house. Every big star was watching him the other day. LeBron James and
Yeah.
they were all there. So
Kylian and Mbappe, did the deal go through?
they've accepted the money, but I don't think he wants to go. So let's
not
see
a
what
good
happens.
league.
Terrible. Yeah.
Like playing for Stella second side with Decoy Doug.
Decoy Doug, you're right. But Paul, we'll see this week with the.
Okay, well, let's start off. Now, his club is Inter Miami.
Yeah, Messi. Now, they've already qualified for the next stages. I went on to Bet365. They were 9-1 to win the competition.
That's good.
So, but I'm waiting to see how many of our companies have got them. But, Paul, what happens is they've got so many groups of 3. There's 2 American teams in most of the leagues and 1 Mexican team. So they play each other normally at the ground of the American, and then the winners goes through.
Okay, so what is this happening now? League Cup?
Yeah, this is, they call it the Leagues Cup because it's the Mexican. And so the
Leagues
first game
Cup.
we've got up is Atlanta. They played into Miami and got beat 4-0. There again, the Cruisers on. I watched the game on the highlights. They tortured into Miami, but got beat 2-1. But Atlanta...
Was that the free kick?
That was a free kick. Yeah, Atlanta don't get beat at home, Paul.
Okay.
To me, 11-10
Atlanta,
Atlanta, I think that's a bit of a good thing. But you never know with the South Americans. But Atlanta
you don't know,
for me.
Charlotte O'Hara?
Well, that's my bet of the weekend, Paul, purely because the other team's woeful. They've had last season in Mexico, they finished 17th. They haven't won a league game this year. So 11-10 Charlotte.
The common denominator being Dallas, 2-2 plays North 3.
Correct, Paul. Yeah. So Charlotte won on penalties. So if it's a draw, it goes to penalties. So if they win this game, they qualify for the knockout stages. So I'm all over Charlotte in that team. Also, I think Orlando City, Paul, they won on penalties against Houston last time, whereas Santos Laguna got beat. So a tight game. Goals would be the way to go in my particular thought process here. But of the 2 teams, Orlando City at home. But goals is my suggestion in that game. Austin against Juarez. Another team that's both struggling. They both got... Austin got beat by a team called Mazatlan, a Mexican team, where Juarez beat them on penalties. Was it Juarez?
Spanish, Mexican, a J becomes a H.
An
Portuguese,
H, okay.
Portuguese, it's Jose Mourinho, not Jose.
Right.
You got
So,
it? Don't get the wrong again, please.
So 3-1, Paul. It's just difficult. What is Austin?
So which one do you like?
I like the draw of the 2 teams, Paul.
Okay.
Of all the games, I can't go for Austin. I think there'll be goals in it, but there's far better games for me than this particular one.
Okay.
Now, DC United won their first game. They beat Montreal. That's
Is anybody
Benteke.
big there?
That's Wayne Rooney's team.
That's Wayne Rooney.
And Benteke was up front, didn't score, but
Offside,
he was a
onside.
threat. Where Pumas got beat. They got beat on penalties. So a tough game. Paul, another game where if I was to have a bet, it would be goals.
Okay.
But unfortunately there were 4 games this morning, so a lot of the betting wasn't out.
Yes.
So that's why we limited. Anyway, on to the second page. LA Galaxy, Paul. Vancouver are woeful. They've lost 4 or 5 away from home. LA Galaxy got beat by Leon at home, so that limits their chances of going through, where Vancouver lost them on penalties at home. I think LA Galaxy are wood at home, Paul.
Okay.
7-10 for me. I think it's a
and
gift.
where did Leon come from? Not a French
Mexican.
side. Mexican, okay.
LY is a French side, Paul. That's club,
Okay.
I think it's Club Leon.
This is
And
an
New York Red Bulls.
Afrikaans name.
Leon, yeah. And New York Red Bulls, Paul, 7-10, I think it's a gift. The other team struggling, they got beat 5-1 by New England in midweek. New York Red Bulls at home, difficult team. So 7-10 New York Red Bulls for me. Tijuana, now both these teams played Philadelphia during the last 2 games and got beat. Tijuana got beat 3-1, but they had 2 players sent off. One was in the 19th minute and one was in the 57th. So that was expected. Where was it? Curatorio. They got beat 5-1 fair and square. So not much between them, Paul. But
even money Tijuana.
I like Tijuana. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Now Toronto Atlas, another game, Paul. Toronto
Atlas Mexican.
Yep. Of the 2 teams, I like Atlas, Paul. They beat New York City 1-0, whereas Toronto got beat 5-0 at New York City.
Okay.
So on that form, you've got to look at Atlas. Goal difference, they should go through, but I don't trust either side. Seattle, Monterrey. Seattle lost 3-0 to Real Salt Lake, whereas Monterrey beat them 3-0. They're one of the best teams in Mexico, Paul. So even though the game is in Seattle at altitude, I think Monterrey 15-10 looks a decent price. Yeah. On to the last game, the last set of fixtures. San Jose Tigers, UNAL. They're the champions of Mexico. And San Jose got beat by Portland 2-0, where Tigers beat them 2-1.
Yes.
So just on that similar form assumption, Paul, 15-10 does look a good price, but
Yeah.
I think it was 12-10 Tigers to score over 1.5 goals. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Now the next 4 games, Paul, a lot of these teams played this morning. You know, Club America beat St. Louis 4-0. Whereas Columbus got beat 2-1 they beat them at home, Columbus. So a tough game, but Club America is the second best team in Mexico. So depending on the betting, touch and go, but another game where I think there'll be plenty of goals.
So all these games are America versus...
But yeah, it depends. There's groups, it tends to be 2 Americans, one Mexican.
Yes.
So the first game was mainly the American teams played, and now the Mexican teams come into it. Chicago, that's my boy Hadji. They won on Wednesday night. They beat Minnesota 3-2 away against a Pueblo team who got beat 4-0 by Minnesota. I think Chicago's a gift, Paul. I don't know what price they'll be, but I've got to wait till this afternoon till the betting comes up, but it's not at it. But Chicago, definitely my boy Shaqiri doing wonders. Anyway, Colorado against Toluca. Toluca beat Nashville 4-3 this morning, whereas Colorado got beat 2-1 by Nashville. So on that assumption, Paul, Toluca do look the right team.
Even though they're away.
Even though they're playing in Colorado, Paul. But they're Mexicans. There'll be more Mexicans at the game than Americans. So a tough game. Without the betting, it's hard to really look. And Guadalajara, they got beat 2-0. The game got abandoned this morning because of weather. So they got beat 2-0 by Cincinnati, whereas Sporting Kansas City beat Cincinnati on penalties. But another game, Paul, if I was looking to have a bet, it's Tuesday morning our time, I'd be going for goals.
Okay.
So it's really tricky, Paul. We can't watch them. You watch the 2-3 minute highlights, and it's hard really to get any idea of what to bet.
Very tough.
Very tough. So
we're going back to English soon.
Well, next week, Paul. But
let's look at your best bet
the
and
exotics.
Stevie's best bet.
Yeah, well, the best bets, Paul. I've gone for Charlotte. And Stevie's gone for Halmstad, and my value bet is Norrköping and Steve's Elfsberg.
Okay, good, interesting bets here.
Yeah,
right,
well,
let's
the
go
bets will
to
come
our official pools.
Yeah, these are our Saturday exotics. I've gone the field in the friendly match between Augsburg and Ajax Amsterdam, which is played in Augsburg. I've gone the field in the Hacken-Elfsberg clash. I've banked Vålerenga to beat Sandefjord in Norway. I don't see Westerlo losing at AS Eupen, as well as Bromma-Pochkana losing at Degerfors, and I think Mulder will be too good for Staybeck, 216.
Okay.
On to the second soccer six. It's in Brazil. I'm going Botafogo SP, and this is the Brazilian Serie B, not the Serie A. The field against Juventude, 2 decent teams. Internacional, I'm chancing them to beat Cuiabá at home. Barcelona, Real Madrid are friendly in America. I've gone the field there. Because you just never know what's going to happen with these games. I'm banking Atletico Paranaense. They're the only team that plays on an artificial pitch in Brazil. They don't get beat at home against Cruzeiro. I'm going Fortaleza, win and draw at home against RB Bragantino. And Fort Flamengo, they're the top team in Brazil, win and draw at Atletico Mineiro, 216. On to the soccer tent for the weekend. The field in the Botafogo SP versus Juventude game. I'm banking Internacional to beat Cuiabá. The field in the Barcelona Real Madrid fixture. Atletico Paranaense, good things to beat Cruzeiro. Fortaleza, win and draw at home against RB Bragantino. On to the second page. I'm going Atlanta, win and draw at home against Cruz Azul. Banking Charlotte to beat Club Necaxa, excuse me if I'm wrong. Orlando City, win and draw at home against Santos Laguna. Austin, to be too good for Juarez. And LA Galaxy have thrown the draw in at home against Vancouver Whitecaps, 288.
So you've got Canadian, American.
They're all in, Paul. Especially North American.
Okay, Mexico,
their MX League, yeah. Onto the Soccer 13, which is another licorice all sorts bet supplied by the Swedes. I'm going Bromma-Pochkana, win and draw at Degerfors. I'm banking Halmstad to beat Varbergs Bois. Vasselins, win and draw at IF Sylvia. Banking Tabby FK to be too good at home against Matala. Eskilsmina, win and draw at home against FC Trollhättan. I don't see Oskarshams losing at Norby. Siding with Torns, IF, win and draw at home against Luginskill. Onto the second page, I'm going to Vackers, win and draw at home against at Wittersburg, Bankering Mulder to beat Stayback, FC Copenhagen to beat Vejle, HJK Helsinki to avoid defeat at SJK Sanajon, and ending up with 2 bankers, Breda Blick to beat St. Johnham and Fluminense to beat Santos 256.
Okay, Budge, my favourite one.
Yeah.
He keeps me in the money. Budgie's bets.
Yeah, for a bit of a spelling issue, the first one, I'm going Norrköping handicap +1 or +1 handicap, depending on what site you're on. I'm going ARK Stockholm to beat Hammarby, and I'm going over 2.5 goals, both teams to score in the Malmo versus, both teams to score no.
Yeah.
In the Malmo versus IFK Vanama game, 3,200 to 200. Onto our Leagues Cup quartets. I'm starting with 4 teams.
They all have to win.
All got to win. Charlotte to beat Necaxa, New York Red Bulls to beat Atletico San Luis, Tijuana to beat Querétaro, I think it's pronounced, and LA Galaxy to beat Vancouver, 2,300 to 200.
Goals only.
Team goals only. I'm going Atlanta, Charlotte, New York Red Bulls, and DC United, all to score over 1.5 goals.
Nice bet.
2,400 to 200. Over 2.5 goal squad, Atlanta versus
teams.
Cruz Azul. Yeah, it has to be over 2.5 in each game.
So it could be 3-0, 2-1.
Could be 3-0, 4-2, whatever. Yeah. So it's Atlanta, Cruz Azul, Austin versus Juarez, New York Red Bulls versus Atletico San Luis, and DC United versus Pumas UNAM, 2,300 to 200. Our second last bet is our Brazilian Serie A. I'm going Fluminense to beat Santos, Atletico Paranaense to beat Cruzeiro, Botafogo to win by more than 1 goal against Coritiba, and both teams to score in the Atletico Mineiro Flamengo clash, 2,600 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nexa, I'm going Charlotte to beat Necaxa, New York Red Bulls to beat Atletico San Luis, LA Galaxy to beat Vancouver, Malmo to beat IFK Vanamo, Fluminense to beat Santos, and Botafogo to beat Coritiba, 3,500 to 200.
Interesting. But Budge, when do you get these results? Because they're different
I
times.
follow them most time, Paul. The problem is that if you've seen the times, they're all in the morning. So you've got to wake up at like 4 o'clock to follow them and so on.
And in what way follow them? Is there anything on the box?
Well, I've
where
got
you
a
have
bet
to stream?
365. You can stream them, Paul, but I've got a bet 365, and that comes up, and that's up to date. So if there is a goal, you see it and so on. Yeah. But I just follow it on the website, so I don't watch the games.
Okay.
I get the highlights sent to me on my phone.
Yes.
So but watching a 2-3 minute highlight, that doesn't really help much. So bit of a jumble sale, but we got a
Okay,
job.
well, we're getting nearer the big time.
Yeah, next weekend.
Thanks, Budge, and we'll have Stevie B back with us next time. Until then, stay on side.